Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I am your host, Chris. Welcome to another video for The Flash Season 1. This is episode 17. It's entitled Tricksters. Uh, so, uh, in this episode, we got to see, the Tricksters. I mean, we seen the original Trickster, which was Mark Hamill, having him come back to reprise that role from the original Flash show back in the '90s. So that I thought that was great. That was very very cool that they did that. And Mark Hamill was awesome. Anyway, he so creepy playing this character. It reminds me a little bit like a combination between his version of the Trickster and part Joker. You know, because I could hear the Joker, his voice for the Joker in that. In his character for the Trickster, but it's like this. It's like similar, but it's separate. So yeah, it's awesome. He was awesome. They also had like a new Trickster. His name is Axel Walker. It just seemed that the new Trickster I didn't really care about. I mean, it just his costume was cool and all that, but ultimately I didn't really care about the new Trickster. It was all about the old Trickster, Mark Hamill, who his name is James Jesse, who's in prison, and it was all like a diversion. What the new Trickster was trying to do is get a diversion to break out the old Trickster out of prison. And then they take Barry's father hostage. It was kind of like, well, why would he take Barry's father hostage? Well, it's because he said, well, it's because his son is in the police department or something. But it was still like a little bit of a nod saying that is it James Wesley Shipp? I think that's who the actor is. I could be wrong about the first name, but he was the original Flash in the original show. And it was kind of like a nod, him, the old Trickster taking the original Flash hostage. I don't know. It was just one of those cool things that they did as well. But I really liked that. I really did. And like the whole thing where they poison all these rich people to try to take their money. And it was kind of almost like a comic book, cartoonish type feel. That's what they would probably do in the cartoon. At least that's what it felt to me anyway. That it seems very much like a comic book feel, the way that whole villainous plot that they had to poison everybody and take their money. Seems very comic booky. And then the Flash just zooms around and gives everybody an antidote. That was funny. So that was that part, which was cool. It was great seeing Mark Hamill back, and the whole part where he says to the young Trickster, he says, "I am your father." I love that. I busted out laughing. I loved Mark Hamill saying that line. The whole Star Wars thing. It was great. Yeah, and then he puts the bomb on Barry's hand, and he has to run like 600 miles an hour, or it'll explode. And the whole time where Dr. Wells is, or Eobard Thawne, is telling Barry that, you have to, he starts describing that you have to feel the air and you have to use the speed force. And it was just like he was like describing it. And Barry then touches back on it later in the episode that, hey, he was like experienced. I mean, he knew what it felt like. But it was cool. Like he like phased through that truck or whatever. That was awesome. That's like a new trick now he's learned. And Dr. Wells, aka Eobard Thawne, kind of like tipped his cap a little bit there. Basically he revealed a little too much. I mean, he made it a little too much information there. That, hey, I mean, he knows what he's saying. He knows what he's doing. I mean, so. I think they're finally figuring out that, hey, he is the man in the yellow suit. He is the Reverse Flash. Also, it was, an interesting thing that Barry revealed who he was to Eddie Thawne. So now Eddie's like, oh, great. Now not only is Iris has a thing for Barry, but now Barry's also the Flash. And you could see like the surprise in his face. I mean, he couldn't believe it. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of a friction there coming up. I mean, I was like, I don't know, that might have been a bad idea. But it should make it very interesting for further episodes down the line. But there was the whole thing that they wanted to have Eddie convince Iris to stay away from the reporter. I keep forgetting what his name was. But, she's still trying to find out, what happened to him. She was, trying to look into, like, what happened, but, and I can't, I remember the reporter's name, and then I forget his name, and you're probably all yelling at me. So, I mean, there was that part of it. I felt like, well, that was like kind of a mistake for him to reveal himself to Eddie, but hey, I think it should be cool storytelling down the line, that's for sure. We have also with this other flashback, if you will, for the whole Dr. Wells flashback with his wife. And it was the real Dr. Wells. We find out that there actually was a real Dr. Wells and his wife, and the actual face of Eobard Thawne, the guy, like, basically, like, does like a kind of like a what was that alien movie? There was an alien movie that was like Body Snatcher thing. Yeah, but he kind of like body snatchers him, with he's like hooked him up to this like futuristic machine thing that took his identity, his look, everything. And it goes to say, I mean, did he just take his face, or did he also take his memories and his thoughts and his brain, basically, because, I mean, how does he know all this scientific stuff? How did he know how to make the particle accelerator and do all that? I mean, he had to like completely steal Dr. Wells. I mean, he became Dr. Wells is what happened. I mean, that's what I think anyway, is that not only did he take his face, his identity, but he also took his memories and his thoughts and his genius. He took everything. But I could be wrong. I mean, he could be just like, winging it. I don't know. But yeah, that was cool that we what happened to the real Dr. Wells. And the whole opening scene, the episode came on where the two speedsters it was the Flash and the Reverse Flash, and they were fighting through his house in the past around his mother, and it was like in slow-mo, and they were like punching each other and fighting, and that was awesome. I love that. They also revealed, the Eobard also revealed that he needed to speed up the process of the particle accelerator. It actually became invented in 2020, and he needed to be now, a lot sooner, so he can get back to the future, so yeah, I mean, I think I might have hit on everything. Yeah, I mean, very cool episode, guys. I enjoyed it. Another enjoyable episode that I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, there is no episode next week. Unfortunately, they're off a week, and then finally, I think they'll get to the last. I think it's 5 episodes or something. I think the last 5 episodes are going to be awesome. They're going to be great. I know I've seen previews. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there is previews of another crossover with Arrow thing going on there, so that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that. But yeah, guys, write in the comments below what your thoughts was on this episode. Anything I might have missed that you want to touch on, please write in the comments. Also, like and subscribe. I do appreciate the support. But that will do it for me, guys, for another week for Flash. I should say, I'm blanking out for the Flash. Yeah, guys, that's it for me. I'm Chris for Christopher's Entertainment Blog. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.